Coming up on TekThing, save the screens, people. We're going to talk tempered glass for your tempered glass. Razer's BlackWidow V2 yellow keys. What are those? Note-taking software, lockdown Facebook with a key, HDMI 2.1, and quite a bit more. All coming up on TekThing. Thank you, patrons. Without your support via patreon.com/TekThing, we wouldn't be able to make the show for you each and every week. Please join the crew that makes TekThing possible at patreon.com/TekThing. Thank you.
I'm Shannon Morse.
And I'm Patrick Norton.
And this is TekThing, where we have something useful in every single show.
Armor. We have armor today.
Like chainmail?
No, I actually, unlike some hosts of TekThing who can keep a brand new screen and a brand new Android phone immaculate, perfect, and delightful.
That would be me.
For years, or at least 5 or 4 months until she upgrades after reviewing to a new one.
I do like a year per phone.
You're on like your 3rd phone this year.
No, I'm not.
You have
It's
2
phones? I have this phone.
Yeah.
And I have that one. That's my old one.
I don't know if the date counting works on that. In any case, I don't think you've ever cracked, knock on wood.
I've cracked one screen, and that was by fault of my own. It fell on the bathroom floor. I know I should not check my phone while I'm sitting on the toilet, but I do. TMI.
Like you don't use the phone in the bathroom. I'm on, I think this is the 4th screen for the iPhone 6. I can't go 48 hours without armor on a phone, at least not if I don't want to head to iFixit, sponsor, iFixit.com/TekThing, and buy a replacement screen. In any case, as of Sunday, I have a fresh, clean, crack-free iPhone screen, and also an unbent case.
That's good.
I'm going to put a fresh, clean, tempered glass protector on it. These are awesome. This is the AmFilm tempered glass. It's like a 2-pack screen protector. They sell for $8 for the 2-pack on Amazon. 17,572 customer reviews, over 4.5-ish stars. It's 4.3 out of 5 stars. That's pretty good.
It's really good.
The tempered glass screens, they are sacrificial.
Yeah.
I like them a lot more than the various plasticky ones out there. Very, very clear. And they've done a really, really impressive job protecting the screen, at least in my experience. Okay. The trick is, of course, to get you clean the screen and get the bubbles out.
Yes. So annoying.
Oh my goodness. For what it's worth, I had one of these on my phone for over a year. 0 screen cracks, though the protector did. The protector cracked, but the screen underneath was fine.
Gotcha, okay.
Because it literally is tempered glass, so it'll shatter to absorb when it absorbs the impact of falling on certain things. What was crazy though is within 24 hours of pulling it off, I was getting out of my truck, the phone fell out of my pocket and landed and cracked the screen.
I remember when that happened.
Which is probably why they sell them in 2-packs, because when you wear the first one out and it starts to separate from your phone, you just slap the new one on there.
Yeah.
So I have a spare right here.
That makes complete sense.
Oh my goodness. I'm using Magpul's field case right now. It's injection molded rubber. Their original case was just sort of a plastic enclosure. This one's sort of a 2-piece rubber enclosure with a plastic exterior. I like it a lot better than Magpul's first-gen cases. Wirecutter calls it a more protective case than their standard choice.
Cool.
I was tempted to get another Lifeproof case, the Fre.
Yeah.
But my old one fell apart, particularly the lid that goes over the lightning port down at the bottom of it. Yeah, it did not seem to be as durable as in previous generations, or maybe I'm just rougher on them. I'm not as worried about water as I used to be, but frankly, the Lifeproof was brilliant at keeping dust and grit from tearing up the case.
Yes, that's a huge problem for me. I look at this case right now and try to peel it back a bit, and it's just disgusting under there. It's so gross. What's
amazing, dirt gets under the case,
yeah,
and then it just grinds on your phone.
Yes, it just grinds. It's so gross.
Oh my goodness.
And I have to agree with you on the tempered glass. This is one of those plasticky ones that you mentioned. It's cheap, and it works. It does the job. It does not absorb any kind of breakage, so if I drop it on the floor, the screen will still crack, and it does get really dirty.
Hopefully it absorbs a little bit.
I think it would, yeah, and definitely the case does as well, but these are just some random things that I've found on Amazon. I haven't done as much research as you have into tempered glass. So I do want to say, if any of you guys out there have a really good recommendation for Android phones as far as screen protectors that you like or brands that you prefer, let me know, because I'm always looking for something better, because that's just the cheapest of cheap.
Oh, it's tough because there's so many different models.
There are,
a lot of times only the biggest models from Samsung and LG really have any kind of aftermarket support.
It's very true.
Anybody other than the manufacturer.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, the keyboard quest continues. We vie for perfection, although technically mechanical buckling spring keyboards are already there.
Yes.
But you're going to talk about the Razer BlackWidow and the new yellow keys.
The new yellow keys, yes.
I bet you took the yellow. Forget about it.
The blue pill?
Red pill, blue.
Yes.
Yeah.
I knew where you were going with that one.
Worst attempt yet at abusing and manipulating. In any case, I was going to talk about movie quotes.
It's okay, I'm the worst at movie quotes, seriously. I mean, everybody knows I haven't seen anything good, so whatever.
That's not true.
Thanks, YouTube. So, this is the Razer BlackWidow V2. It's $169.99. It was just announced last week, and it's available as of last week, so you can go get it right now. Razer didn't up the price on this one from their original keyboard,
I don't think they had
awesome.
to.
No, they really didn't. It's pretty expensive as it is, but it's kind of cool. So it introduces a new mechanical switch engineered by Razer, and it's called Razer Yellow. So this, when I was pressing on it, you can't even hear it. It's very silent.
There's no tactile feedback
There's
either.
no tactile feedback. It feels kind of like a membrane.
It's just like a membrane switch. So Razer has their own custom keys. They've got the green, which is tactile and clicky.
That's what this one is.
They've got the orange, which is tactile and silent.
Which is great for offices, especially if you like mechanicals.
And then they have the yellow, which feels just like a membrane.
It's silent
keyboard.
and feels like membrane. So the reason that they went with that feeling is because it's linear, it's way silent, so there's no tactile bump whenever you press it down. The reason why they wanted to do that, Razer says that it reduces travel distance so that FPS and MOBA players will get a lot more use out of them. We'll be able to use them a lot more frequently because with FPS and MOBA, you get online and you're pressing the same key thousands and thousands of times. So by reducing that amount of travel that you have to actually press your buttons down, it's supposed to help with your gameplay. My preference, of course, is mechanical. I like having that tactile bump. It gives me that feedback, and I like that feedback. And I'm also one of those people that presses down pretty hard on my keys as it is. So I don't feel like I would need to go the yellow route. So luckily, in my case, they sent me the green key BlackWidow V2 keyboard. I'm really happy that they sent me this one.
It feels very much like a Cherry MX Blue switch.
Yes, it does. It's very, very similar to that.
One.
And I do have the specs on it as well. My personal preference, again, is that mechanical keyboard. So the green, orange, and yellow switches, they're all rated at the 80 million keystrokes, of course, just like their other keyboards, and it includes that magnetic wrist rest, which I absolutely love. This thing is great, and I actually felt like this one attaches a little bit more strongly than the Razer Ornata keyboard wrist rest, which I recently reviewed. This one also doesn't move around as much, and it has the rubber feet at the bottom, so that definitely helps with keeping it in place whenever you're playing games.
Yeah, we totally, I won't touch a wrist rest on a keyboard, and she loves them.
I love them. Of course, I'm not leaning down like you're not supposed to, but if you have your chair up at the right level, you can use the wrist rest, to rest your wrists.
Gorilla handlebars.
So this keyboard also supports the 16.8 million colors, and you can kind of see them in the screen as I hold it up, and it'll go through transition all the different colors. You can do the same Chroma customizations in software settings.
So
that you can
change individual keys.
You can change them to pretty much whatever you want. They also have built-in settings, so you can do things like a ripple effect or fire and stuff like that. The actuation force for the green is 50 grams, and the orange and yellow keys are a little bit different. Those are 45 grams. So orange and yellow take a little bit less actuation than the green does. So keep that in mind depending on how you are with keyboards. Plus, they all sport their 10-key rollover for anti-ghosting, and it's fully programmable again. Gaming mode is also a feature that comes with this keyboard, so that means if you accidentally press the Windows key, it's not going to do anything. So you can disable certain keys or however you feel that you need to customize it for your gaming mode.
That's cool.
USB pass-through, it does have 2 USB ports. You can just plug in one and it'll work fine, but if you want to do the USB pass-through, you need to use 2, and the USB pass-through goes over to the right side of the keyboard,
nice.
right on the side. It also has an audio jack, as you can see over here. And I actually thought that was really smart, because if you're playing games and you have a headphone connector that you need to use for your gaming, it's really useful to have that port so up close, so you don't have to worry so much about accidentally pulling on your headphone jack or anything like that. So for gaming, cool. That's very, very, it was a well thought out feature that Razer decided to include. All in all, I think it's a really nice keyboard. It's $170. It's a little pricey.
Is that the street price?
That's the street price. Oh. MSRP, yeah. So, and it did just come out, so we probably won't see that drop for a little while. But it's a very good keyboard. It's very durable. It's really, really nice, and it's hard packed and it's heavy, so it feels durable.
The switch tester does not come with these keyboards, retail packaging.
That one came with the review unit. I am not sure if it comes with the retail packaging. I would say no, but I haven't opened up a retail packaging, so it might. Yeah. Keep that in mind.
It's basically blue, brown, and yellow.
Yeah, so that's what we're used to from Cherry MX, and then these are the Razer. I guess you would say they're competition, and they're specifically made for gaming.
They're proprietary.
Yeah, they're proprietary, made for gaming.
I mean, everybody's got their own brand of keys now, it feels like.
It's very true, yeah. Let us know what your favorite kind of keyboard switches are. I really like the green on the Razer keyboards, and otherwise I would say I'd probably go for red or blue, depending on my feelings that day.
Or whether or not the Snubs Hubs is sleeping.
Yeah, that too.
Got a question? Curious to see us review something, use a favor, email ask@tekthing.com or tweet
@Snubs.
Or @Patrick Norman.
I was like, it's my turn, @Snubs.
Got a question? Curious to see us review something? Got a tip or an idea? Please fire them out to ask@tekthing.com or tweet @TekThing, because we're listening out there on the Twitters. And hey, if you want to be part of the crew that makes TekThing possible, please contribute to the show at patreon.com/TekThing. Just $1 an episode will make a huge difference, and you get access to our patron-only goodies. You can even join monthly hangouts with Shannon and I at higher levels. Thank you for your patronage, people. You make the show possible, and I really appreciate that. So does Shannon. If you can't donate, we totally understand. Keep sending in those emails, and if you could spare a moment or two to give our video the thumbs up on YouTube, like our Facebook page, or review TekThing on iTunes or your favorite podcatcher, we would seriously appreciate it, because it all helps. Thank you so much for supporting TekThing, no matter how you do it.
We got an email from Kurian, who emailed ask@tekthing.com. Love the show. It does a great job of covering tech for nerds like myself while still being approachable to those who aren't tech enthusiasts. Woohoo! One topic that has interested me recently is simple note-taking and journaling software. A couple of picks that viewers might want to look into include Google Keep and Simple Note. Both are free and both can sync across devices, both desktop and mobile. Simple Note has the additional benefit of being open source and having an API, which other apps can use, e.g. NV, which is notational velocity for OS X, or notation for Windows. For the really nerdy, a new project called Standard Notes at standardnotes.org has emerged. It has support for Cloud Sync, either via their provided servers or hosting your own, encryption, extensions, Markdown, and best of all, it's FOSS. It's also cross-platform with the Android app on the way. Have you got any favorite note-taking apps? Keep up the great work, from Kurian. Thank you, Kurian. Mm-hmm. And I hope I said your name right.
Me too, because I'm the one who thought it was spelled that way, or pronounced that way. In any case, ever since Evernote got more aggressive about making money this summer, Evernote's kind of been the premier note-taking collective software environment. You've heard a lot about the alternatives, and since I'm really intending on 2017 as being the year I stop emailing things to myself.
Oh, I do that too.
I've been puttering with note apps. So yeah, I mean, Evernote, you know, you can attach photos, you can attach audio notations to yourself. Simple Note, this is Simple Note, right? This is like a classic Simple Note interface. It is all about text and links and cloud-based storage. You know, Evernote, of course, does the whole photo audio note thing, along with web page clipping.
Yeah.
Something that a lot of people are aware of now is Microsoft has OneNote. Mm-hmm. Apple Notes is pretty solid for people in the OS X environment. And if you take a look at Standard Notes, which is that new open source one, this is Simple Note. There's Standard Notes. Oh. Simple Note.
They look really similar.
They look really similar. You know, because they're both basically text-focused note-taking environment. Now, if you pick up Google Keep, all of a sudden you've got like
I love Google Keep so much.
Yeah, it's very, very, very visual by comparison. I don't think that's particularly a bad thing, and I do like the fact that you can do sort of your own. The Post-it note environment really works for me because of the way my head works.
Yeah, I use physical Post-it notes still.
Yeah,
I'm weird.
Evernote's paid tier. If you've never taken a look at it, the plans. You basically, free allows you to run Evernote, and you get 60 megabytes of uploads a month. If you go to Plus, you get unlimited sync across pretty much all the devices on the planet, and you can upload up to 1 gigabyte a month.
Wow.
That's for $35 a year. You actually get customer support via email, and you can sync across, you basically can sync unlimited number of devices and access your notebooks offline, which for some friends of mine who sit on planes and like to go through their Evernote stuff, to have it offline is a huge deal.
There was some concern earlier in 2016 because Evernote changed their privacy policy, and it involved something in there about them having the potential to be able to read certain notes in your account. So a lot of people in the InfoSec community were like strongly against using Evernote, but I think that comes down to like having to issue a warrant from the federal government before they would be able to use that feature.
If you're getting a warrant from if the federal government is getting a warrant to investigate you, the fact that they can read your Evernote is probably not a massive concern. So the interesting thing about standard notes, their whole thing is to try to make it that the lifetime will be effectively as close to forever as possible, and that you can migrate it to your own servers, you can use their servers. They're trying to keep it as open source as possible.
That's
which is
cool.
Yeah, I think it's a really, really cool thing for a lot of people.
Definitely.
It's kind of funny because this is all about text-based searching and sort of stuffing of information into there. I do like the fact that you can't drag and drop images into Google Keep. You basically have to download them and then manually upload them.
Yeah.
Which kind of made me laugh because you're
a little annoying
and pulling it up. But Notational Velocity is the nerdiest note-taking application ever. And if somebody out there wants to write a review of it, I will share that review. I will share that review with the TekThing audience.
I think the katakana actually says it says notational velocity.
Yeah, it is. I have friends that live by notational velocity.
That's cool.
They are way down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
It is like the ultimate power tool.
I'm not that far down that rabbit hole. I like Google Keep.
Ladies and gentlemen.
That's what I use. I don't really save any like audio or visual in note-taking apps. It's usually just text, making lists and things like that. And then I need to get better with it because I still use physical postcard or little Post-its everywhere, and then I have different lists in every part of the office.
It's
terrible.
We love Lifehacker. One of the things I love about Lifehacker is there's always people pointing out some of the most organized and accomplished people I know still do all of their sort of note-taking on paper.
Yeah, I'm trying that this year myself. I'm trying to go old school and go paper.
In any case.
I want to know what you guys are using. What apps are our TekThing crew out there recommending for everyone else to use? We would love to hear from you. Email ask@tekthing.com with your recommendations, and we would love to share them on the show. Everyone, I just wanted to remind you about ThreatWire. You can subscribe to that show via iTunes, which is brand new as of like 2 weeks ago. I'm super excited about that. You can also download it over at podcasting apps, or you can subscribe on youtube.com/hack5. And I also want to thank our patrons over at that show because I know a lot of you guys out here watching TekThing are also patrons of ThreatWire. So if you aren't, you can sign up at patreon.com/ThreatWire. And thank you so, so much for your support. Everything that you need to know about that other show that I do is over here at threatwire.net. But today, for our ThreatWire security brief, I wanted to talk about Facebook a little bit.
Facebook gets a key.
I know, it's crazy. It's so weird. So this week, Facebook added this thing called Universal Second Factor, or U2F, as a two-factor option for accounts. If you're curious about how to set this up, luckily Facebook has done a whole write-up over at facebook.com. I'll put that link in the show note. Basically, U2F devices are little USB keys that have the two-factor secret key baked into their hardware instead of in software. And each one is different. So if you try to plug in one one that isn't set up for your account, it's not going to work. They don't require a connection to work, which is super cool, and they are very small and portable, and a lot of times you can just stick one on your key ring, and it even works on mobile a lot of times if you buy like a USB-C type one, for example. So YubiKey is a company that makes these U2F devices. They just came out with a USB-C type U2F device. So for example, I can use the new YubiKey to log into apps that support it. Google, for example, is one that supports it, along with Dropbox, LastPass, GitHub, and now Facebook. Yay!
Yay!
So if you guys want to set up your Facebook account, all you have to do is go to your security settings, click on Login Approvals, and then click Add Key, and all the steps are also in that link that I provided. You will want to set up a backup code in case you don't have your U2F device handy, or if it gets lost or something like that. Luckily, the perks of having one of those is that if somebody robs you, they're not likely to steal this teeny tiny device that doesn't look like it costs a fortune. They will try to steal your phone, which has, you know, your Google Authenticator on it. So in a way, U2F is more protected in that sense. But of course, since it's so small, it's also very easy to lose. So it's nice to have those two different options handy for whatever accounts you're using U2F on.
It's been a while since you've kind of reviewed the YubiKey. Are you going to review the new USB-C U2F version?
Yes, I am. I'm going to be testing it next week on my phone since I have a USB-C compatible phone. So I'm going to see if that works with Google and LastPass and all the different accounts that I have a YubiKey currently set up on. Yay!
So it was funny. I was talking about the YubiKey support on Facebook on another show last week, and Alfex45 is like, 2FA via SMS is not secure. Please advocate using an authenticator app or hardware. And this is, Kyle links to an article on TechCrunch that NIST this summer was starting to advocate moving or migrating away from MS or text-based two-factor authentication, which is a really crazy thought when you start to realize, for example, Amazon Prime has like 60 million subscribers. And I'm sure just a tiny subset of those actually use two-factor authentication.
Yeah.
But you're still talking about the idea of migrating a metric ton of people.
Luckily, in the case of Amazon, they offer codes as well.
Yeah.
So if you want to transition from SMS, is SMS still available on Amazon? I would assume that it is, because a lot of companies haven't transitioned over yet.
Just used it this morning.
Okay, yeah, then it still is. Then you can easily set it up in the account settings and change it over to like Authy or Google Authenticator, just so you get a code instead of an SMS.
One of the things that NIST said was like SMS is okay for now as long as you're not using it on a service that virtualizes phone numbers.
Yeah.
But you know, moving forward at some point, the whole SMS text message-based two-factor authentication thing is just going to be done with.
Yeah, I'm really glad that NIST finally was like, hey, this is bad. You should use codes or U2F instead, because years ago, and I asked Darren about this because I couldn't remember which InfoSec conference it was, but years ago somebody did a talk where they hacked they were able to do a man-in-the-middle attack against SMS and steal somebody's two-factor authentication code as it was being transmitted over SMS, when you didn't have that same issue with codes. So it's something that I've been advocating for a while, but I guess it was just like in the InfoSec community that we knew about that hack possible. But I'm glad NIST was finally like, hey, do this thing. And everybody got on board.
They would need to have your password first. Because first they'd have to steal your password.
And a lot of people still use passwords all over the place. But if you're using two-factor authentication, I would hope that you are using different passwords on all the different sites as well.
If you've never been, NIST.gov is the website for the National Institute of Standards and Technology. And they do a lot of cool stuff there.
All right, so moving on, we got a tweet from Charles M, aka Michael M6501, who tweets, any recommendations on fairly inexpensive 4K HDR HDMI cables? I'm gonna recommend Monster. Just kidding.
Wow.
Troll.
Oh my goodness. No, we mentioned it a few weeks ago. Amazon basic high-speed HDMI cable, 6 feet 2-pack.
I have so many of these.
Yep.
They're awesome.
Yeah. If you want like some 12, 18, 24-inch long HDMI cables to keep your TV cabinet less money, Monoprice has some good, cheap short cables. If you're going over like 25, 30, 40 feet, that's when you might want to spend a little bit more on a cable. But the vast majority of applications, you don't need an expensive HDMI cable. Okay. We mentioned back in episode 102 that the new HDMI specs would get more detailed at CES 2017. So let's talk for a second about HDMI 2.1.
Yes.
Yes, which is mostly about dynamic HDR, which is for new movies in 4K.
Yeah.
HDR values, you can set them by scene instead of by the entire movie. Because currently you set them for the entire movie, but you can get much more granular with the values in dynamic HDR and set them different for a night scene than you do for a day scene. Higher bandwidth, 48 gigabits per second comes in HD 2.1. That's up from 18 gigabits per second in HDMI, or 18 gigabytes per second in HDMI 2.0. You're going to have a max 4K frame rates of 120 hertz. Gamers!
Yeah.
And game mode VRR, which is variable refresh rate to reduce stutter and frame tearing in 4K gaming, which is all super awesome. But that's really more for VR than 2D stuff.
Yeah.
HDMI 2.1 will support resolutions up to 10K. Also eARC, which is Enhanced Audio Return Channel, which adds Dolby Atmos and DTS-X to Audio Return Channel. The spec essentially is not finished though. They were just like, here's all of the cool stuff. And mostly everybody is like, dynamic HDR, but don't get too worried because one, that content doesn't really exist yet in the field.
Yeah.
And two, it's going to be late spring or early summer before the specs finished, and I can't imagine the first products are going to show up much before late 2017.
Yeah.
It'll pick up speed in 2018. If you're on the fence about buying a 4K television, I would be tempted to tell you to wait to see what happens with dynamic HDR, but also it's going to be a couple years before dynamic HDR content is particularly massively available.
Very true. Yeah, we're kind of future-proofing right now.
Yes.
We're seeing that from like the HDMI specs. So
and the HDR specs and the HDTV specs.
We're in a changing time.
Yes.
Transitional time period where we're seeing a lot of changes in the entertainment field, but hopefully not too many because it's going to get expensive real quick.
It's tough. A lot of the cheaper 4K televisions right now do not do a particularly good job with HDR, although they do fine with 1080p. A lot of the more expensive HD TVs are lacking some of the features that you might want at the end of 2019. So, if you're playing 4K now and all you care about is 4K content now, you are good to go. It's odd, like HDMI 2.1, the container's going to look the same as the HDMI cable you're holding right now. But in theory, you actually need an HDMI 2.1 rated cable to support the crazy resolution and frame rates.
Okay.
But yeah, look, that's best case scenario, end of 2017, beginning of 2018. Amazon Basics or Monoprice is all you need right now.
I love Amazon
Basics.
Basics.
Cabling needs.
So amazing.
We'd like that. Ron emails ask@TekThing.com. Just wanted to drop you a quick note. In my opinion, I strongly recommend not turning off LastPass offline mode, but if the LastPass cloud service goes down, you won't be able to log into anything you've stored in LastPass at all. I recommend just the opposite. Make sure LastPass offline mode is on. Test it by accessing the database without network connection on all your devices and disable all automated form filling. Something to think about. Sincerely, Ron.
Yes.
And this is a really good question, right? Because if for some reason, whether it's if it's a distributed denial of service attack or if it's a corporate takeover or a nuclear strike, heaven forbid.
Yeah.
If LastPass goes down, and you don't have a local copy of those passwords,
how do you access your accounts? Because you'd be kind of screwed. So this is one of those things that is debated in the InfoSec community time and time again, is how much convenience do you want to give away for your security, or alternatively, how much security are you willing to stand while giving away some of that convenience? Because a lot of security is kind of annoying. We all know that. I mean, two-factor authentication, it's kind of annoying, but it's a really good thing to have.
Yeah.
So I have a way to get around that issue that you mentioned. I don't save my email, my social networks, or my banking logins in LastPass because those accounts are the most important accounts that I hold. I take a trust no one approach to those for security, and that includes not trusting LastPass with those accounts. Other stuff, I don't care. LastPass can have those. That's fine. I trust them enough to give them my shopping creds, whatever.
but what happens if LastPass goes down?
Exactly. So since those are all very safe, I use different passwords on them, and I use two-factor authentication for all those accounts, banking, social networks, and email. If LastPass did go down, I would still be able to reset my passwords because I have access to my email account, because I know that password. So while it would be a little tedious, because I would have to change a password or like find some kind of authentication in my email, it's still, for me, a secure approach. I don't have to worry about LastPass allowing a computer to log in without 2FA like you do if you have offline mode turned on. And if you are confused about that, we just talked about it on a previous episode. Why does LastPass fill credentials on my site before prompting for two-factor authentication, which totally freaked me out when it did that on my own computer. So I decided to turn it off. It's a personal choice, along with a lot of security settings that we choose to turn on or off. And it all comes down to how much convenience are you willing to sacrifice for your own security. So for me, I'm willing to sacrifice a little bit of convenience so that I have a little bit more security when it comes to this offline mode.
Draw the line in the sand where you will.
Yes.
I tweeted this out, and then a few hours later, a bunch of people started tweeting back to me. Incredible Ars Technica article. The majority of Android VPNs can't be trusted to make users more secure. An Australian group studied like 300 apps and found shocking omissions, including a failure to decrypt. For example, something like 18% didn't encrypt traffic at all. 16% injected code into users' web traffic to accomplish a variety of objectives, such as image transcoding. 84% leaked traffic based on IPv6 internet protocol. It was 75% of the 67% of VPN products that specifically enlisted enhanced privacy, use third-party tracking libraries to monitor your online activities. And what's crazy about these numbers is just realizing how many of these applications, how many people are using this, right?
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, this is 19% of the free apps, 10% of the premium apps were not encrypting.
That's
apps
so
that
bad.
intercepted and decrypted TLS traffic. You may have never heard of some of these, but they still have like 100,000 installs in some cases. VPNs with trackers. It's an interesting article. I'm going to quote one more line here from Mr. Gooden's article. One of the few apps to be lauded in the study was F-Secure Freedom VPN, made by the Finnish security company F-Secure. So something to keep in mind if you are serious about.
I bet F-Secure is applauding themselves on their back right now.
They tweeted that out pretty quickly. But that, we tell you, you need to trust the application.
Yeah.
And there may be a Wireshark festival next week.
I know. I was thinking, I've done a VPN versus Wireshark on a Windows computer, and I know that you can run Wireshark against a VPN and see if any data or packets are being leaked while you're in that VPN. And if packets were getting leaked, you would know because you could see exactly what websites you're visiting through the packets that Wireshark captures. If you're unfamiliar, Wireshark over at wireshark.org is a packet capturing program that has a really nice GUI. It's very easy to use. I did a whole tutorial series over on Hacktip about how to use it, but it basically lets you see what kind of data is transferring from your network to and from, and how that data is getting around. So you can see if it's encrypted or unencrypted or anything like that. For example, I figured out that Instagram, any photos that you like on Instagram are unencrypted. So anybody on the same network can see exactly what you're liking on Instagram. It's creepy. It's very creepy.
Yeah, whether or not there's somebody on your network trying to figure out which photos you like on Instagram is an entirely different question. Do with that information as you will. But yeah.
So I want to run a test of Wireshark against a mobile VPN and see if I can find out if it's leaking data too, because that would be really interesting.
Data leakers. Oh my goodness. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, once in a while, put down the phone, step away from the screen, close the laptop, and do something analog, like I did this weekend, dig a new sump.
Ew.
Oh yeah. Well, it was amazing actually how fast it started to fill.
That looks so gross.
It was gross. Yeah, there's nothing that says party like digging 4 feet below the basement of a basement that's 8 feet below street level with a tiny staircase.
So that's what awesome. You're doing this January, huh?
Yeah, January is all about upgrading the water management and control systems of my home.
Yes.
Yes.
Mine's all about taxes.
It just it got very close to taking out the heater in that last rainstorm. So I was like,
It's time. It's time.
And the shovel came out, and the hammer drill, and the saws, and the stuff.
And the stuff.
And there was stuff. Oh my goodness. I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Shannon Morse.
We will see you next week on TekThing. Screen still unbroken.
Yeah. You're going on what? What is it now? 2 days?
Several days now.
Plus a few hours. I was yelling at it. Thank you, everybody, for watching this episode and for supporting us.
Yeah, thank
like
you
these
very, very
awesome people right here. Look at all the names. They actually show up like right here. So see the names right here? They show up right in front of us.
I had like 40 gigabytes of photos on my phone.
Did you lose them?
No.
Oh, good. Whew.
No, it always amazes me when I'm like, how many gigabytes are on here?
My Pixel allows me to back up for free unlimited storage on Google Photos or Drive or something. So I don't want to look at how many photos are on my phone. I'm a little scared because I haven't backed them up in a long time.